upside down and it's brilliant. So the 3 states of mind, the first one is renunciation. We talked about what's authentic teachings. Do you remember that?
I'm trying to do to check by candidate.
Say that again?
I'm trying to do that.
Okay.
Right? It's talk about the Buddha. It was worked out and tested by the candidate.
Good. Say that again?
It's been through the ringer.
It's been through the ringer. Someone's actually grabbed this stuff, it's been taught by an enlightened being, and then grabs this stuff and works out how to turn it into a practice, into a reality, into a thing. People with insight have practiced it.
It works.
It works, gives you results, right? Good. That would make it good dharma. Good. We talked about problems with this human life. And I don't want to talk, well, I sort of do, you know. If we're really honest, if we're really completely honest, even the nicest things here are stained, you know, and it's hard for us in the West to admit or to talk about it. It's like, oh, I don't want to get depressed, I don't want to think about the terrible things. But if we don't start this taking responsibility for this world of ours with a basis or a foundation of truth and clear understanding of what's around us, then we're building a house of cards that will fall with no foundation. Foundation is, and this is what produces the fuel for all practice, this thing called renunciation. And renunciation is you have the guts to admit how things aren't working. Even the things that seem to be working don't work in the way that you expect them to. If you are honest with yourselves, even the best job you've ever had, the nicest relationship, it seems to have come from not what you've been doing, some kind of fluke. Why didn't my friend get that? They've been trying for a relationship for longer than I. They're prettier than me, they're smarter than me. Job's the same. When we get sick and we take medicine, sometimes it works. For our friend it didn't. She passed really quickly. For other people, the same kind of effort to stop cancer worked. I have another friend who the cancer's completely gone. You could say, well, it was this cancer. You could make 1,000 excuses, but if we're really honest, we don't know if things work. And we think we do. You know, in the nominal, we try all sorts of things. We try all sorts of crazy things to make us happy. And then when we're happy, we think it came from those things. You know? And at the very root, at the very basis, as soon as we are born, we're marked. We're marked to decay and pass. And depending on the different schools of Buddhist thought, they'll tell you all sorts of different things. Anything that's dependently arising, you know, will go through its cycle, like barley seed, grow and then disappear. You know, I'm made up of stuff that was my parents' stuff, the food I ate. I'm not me. This me is made up of non-me parts, just the physical part of me. Everything about me, everything about you is made up of stuff that's not you. The sperm from your dad, the egg from your mom, the cabbage you ate, the milk you drank. That's not you. You were never cabbage, you were never milk. This, you know, and all of a sudden you think this is you. Yeah? Anything produced by causes will pass. Understanding this and think and knowing this lets you behave in the world differently. So the first of the 3 principal parts we talk about is this renunciation, this almost disgust, like you're sick and tired, it's done. There's nothing left for you to try here because you figured out that nothing will work, that things will fast, that you will get old, you will get sick, and you, as you think of yourself, will die. And then there's all these teachings and all these explanations of what to do with that information. How do you use that to give you fuel and positive charge and energy to say, well, I can work it out. There is a way that it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to go through that cycle. It's not like you're stuck there. And now we're going to talk to the essence of the Dharmakaya. If things were self-existent, if things were that way from their own side, then you're screwed. We're all screwed. Let's go dance. Yeah? But we're not screwed. And things are not fixed like that. It is possible to completely shift that. Completely shift the way we experience life. It does not have to be suffering. Suffering was produced. If we figure out the thing that produced suffering, you can unproduce it. You could stop it. Bliss is produced. If you've had a moment of bliss, and then you could have a moment a little bit better, the bliss is produced. And if you find out what produced bliss, you can have more bliss. And that is the path. So then the two other states of mind that help you figure that out are, the next one is bodhicitta. You're not the only bastard here. Yeah? For every single pain that you've had, multiply that times 7 billion humans. And then your pain doesn't seem so bad. Consider the suffering, the loss, the grasping, the hoping, the sadness of 7 billion humans, let alone the animals we chop up and hang up and eat. But thank you, we'll take you, we'll take you, and we'll take you. This planet is upside down. So the next state of mind you develop after going this, I've got some kind of disgust, I'm so sick that things don't work. I've tried this and I've tried that, and from personal experience, when I first met these things, I'm like, that sounds really good, nice, very nice, yeah, whatever, it's sort of true, I don't like it. So I'm going to go, lucky for me, well, unlucky for me, I got sort of exited out of the country and I ended up being in Australia for 10 years, and I couldn't be here listening to these teachings anymore. But what he gave me was a secluded, secret hideaway all the way around the other side of the world to see if that was true or not. Can I really not get happy smoking weed? I mean, that sounds like a really good way to get happy. So I tried a lot. And it made me happy. But it didn't last. Yeah, that's really good. It didn't last. And then I bought a house, and then I bought another house, and then I became a renovator of houses. And that made me happy. And then it didn't last. And then I found I rekindled friendships, and that lasted a little bit, but they changed. It wasn't the same. Then I got healthy. I started not being fat. That made me happy. And then that obviously changed. And then I remembered some study. This made me happy. I remembered some things, and then I forgot it. That made me happy. And then it changed. So for me, I was sort of fortunate. I listened to these beautiful holy ideas spoken by the Buddha and transmitted through line and line and line of preachers on this planet saying, we've worked it out. You can work it out too. You don't have to go through the crappy existence that is available to everybody. You don't have to keep shopping. You really don't have to keep shopping. Yeah? It's not happiness. It is a temporary thing that will not last. It's like that little instant of you see a picture on Facebook and you press like, and then the feeling disappears and you don't think about that thing ever again. It's like that instant, we've reduced it to a millisecond of, I want, like, what else do I like now? Oh, I like that. I like it. we reduce. I mean, you know, before the internet, we had to wait 6 months before things turned to shit. Now we can happen instantly on the internet. So the first state of mind we develop is like, I'm done with that. It doesn't have to be that way. Is there another way? Yes. Fantastic. The second state of mind is, I'm not the only one going through these things. At least I woke up a little bit. That's called realization. You've had a realization. You have some kind of insight that says, maybe there's a better way. And if you have that flowing inside of you, that's jet fuel for turning these ideas into a life. And then this says, what you must next do is think of other people just like you and love them as if they are you. Think of their concerns as if it's yours. We have the supporters downstairs. They want to come into the class, but then we say they can't, so then they scream and get upset a little bit. Yeah. They'll make noise. It's a mind class. I didn't know that. Anyway. So then the second state of mind is bodhicitta. So give me the definition for bodhicitta. You give yourselves like a half an hour, we're going to review, but these ideas, if you've got them, then they should mean something to you, and they should be somewhere in your DNA, in your heart DNA. So what's bodhicitta?
It's the wish to reach enlightenment for the sake of everybody else.
Okay, for the sake of every living being, including you, though. Yeah, like you're one of them. Yeah. Okay.
And it means literally the awakened mind, right?
Yeah, bodhi mind. Yeah, bodhicitta. Bodhi mind. Yeah, and people translate it, they think it's like the mind of the Buddha. It's not really. Yeah, bodhi mind, the awakened mind. Bodhi. Buddha. Awakened mind. It's described. You've all had an insight into this kind of sensation, but this is an ultimate experience. It's described as when you have real, true bodhicitta, so like everything, there is a relative and an ultimate. When you have an ultimate kind of bodhicitta, we'll talk about it today, you have some kind of flowing out of this space in this physical form we call bodies, and it's like a love vomit, yeah? It spews out in front of you this sense of complete oneness and love with every creature on this thing. It's described as you see their faces in a short time, and you love every single one of them, human, animal, insect. These things that you see in front of you are things you are completely and utterly moved with a kind of love that's not a selfish love, it's not a possessive love, it's not even that word, it's not even a word. But you see them and they are you and you are them. There is no separation. And it is possible to create that state of being, to generate the causes for that experience through what's called practice. So bodhicitta, the relative bodhicitta, is the wish for enlightenment for the sake of every other living being. Yeah? But the ultimate bodhicitta is actually the direct perception of emptiness imbued with bodhicitta. Yeah? Ultimate bodhicitta is the direct perception of emptiness. We'll talk about that. So what else did we cover? Bodhicitta, what's correct view, ultimate versus relative. We covered all these things in ACI 1. So my question to you is, what's the third of the states of mind we should develop in this life? First, you say, well, the way we've been working, shopping isn't going to do it. I will not get free from suffering going to work and shopping. Yeah, that's not the way it works. If you really want out of suffering, if you want permanent, ultimate state of awakening, thank you. You decide that you're sick and tired of doing things upside down, and that there's another way, and you look to them, and there's all these instructions on doing it. Then the next state of mind that's sort of grown at the same time with that is this idea of bodhicitta. This I want freedom, and not just for me, for the sake of everyone else as well. Those that are like me, those that are suffering more than me, those that are just stuck in here shopping. Yeah? And then the third state of mind is correct view. Yeah? This idea of wisdom. And please give me an explanation of what correct view is. When I first heard it, I was like, correct view. Now I'm incorrect. You know, like I was a bit proud and I missed the point. What's correct view?
I think conventionally it would be seeing things in terms of the Four Noble Truths, and ultimately it would be seeing it as in terms of emptiness, ultimate wisdom.
Ultimate wisdom, thank you. Anyone else?
Things are not as we see.
Great. Okay.
The way I usually think of correct view is the understanding that things don't come at me, but come from me.
Nice. Okay. So applying the view of emptiness. This is nice. This is nice. Applying the view of emptiness, which just says, and we'll go deeper into the today and in the next few weeks, is that whatever nature we experience out of things do not come from that thing. That every part of that experience is actually imputed upon that thing that is empty of that nature. It's imputed by the mind perceiving it. Whichever the mind. Our minds, animal mind, any kind of thing, perceiving a thing imputes that meaning and existence onto that thing. It's dependently arising. It arises in dependence upon our minds conceiving it and labeling it in a certain way is the highest explanation of that. Correct view. So correct of what? You said that things are what's incorrect, right? What's the upside down side of this world? So the Diamond Cutter Sutra will explain at some length what is upside down. What is it that's an illusion here? What is it that is tricking us? So the reality we are experiencing, these teachings say, is not the reality as it is. It is relative to our projections. And yet we think of it as a real, solid, true thing, and we act towards it, and because of that, all these things happen. Things come and go, come and go, come and go. Understanding the true nature of things, the ultimate nature of things, will free us from this coming and going, no need for shopping. So my question to you is, if you've understood the basis of the three principal paths, renunciation, which is the jet fuel to get out of suffering, the wish to get out of suffering for the sake of all living beings and yourself. I really want to figure it out. I want to reach the enlightened state of mind. And then applying wisdom onto that, the understanding of how things truly function. If you have some, because you now have some understanding, if you have whatever understanding, what should you practice? My question is, if you only heard ACI 1, what would your world begin to change like? What would you do differently? What should you have done differently? What could you have done differently?
I'm clueless.
Clueless. if you'd never heard these ideas before, and then you heard renunciation, bodhicitta, and wisdom, would your shopping life have changed, is my question.
You've been doing it.
You'd be doing it, right,
Yeah.
to some degree. So, what kind of things, so how do you turn these words into practice, is my question.
You stop being so selfish.
Thank
Start
you.
noticing other people.
Great.
You start noticing the shitty things in your life and
Thank you, Peter.
at least mentally taking responsibility for them,
Yeah.
acknowledging them, noticing the good things in your life, taking responsibility.
You start questioning, so if you take the renunciation part, you start questioning your life. You go, hold on, am I really going to get happy with this next job? Am I really renovating another house? Is this really making me happy? You know, I was fortunate enough or stubborn enough to think I could disprove the point, and now I'm here. You know, like the answer should be obvious.
And I think what I wanted to say is Holiness Karmapa calls renunciation definite emergence.
Definite emergence.
Definite
Nice.
emergence. It's so charged. So it's like once you realize that, then you develop a determination, like this power that just you emerge with.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful because it's not a I'm depressed, this is terrible. It's a freeing thing. Thank you. It's a freeing thing. It's not like, oh no, we're stuck here in suffering, samsara. It's not the point, because if you get just a glimpse of wisdom, you know it's not permanent. You know it's not a fixed thing. So it should charge you up with, oh my God, it's actually a changeable planet. It's a changeable existence. It doesn't have to be that way. So it should be the energy, the jet fuel, the power for practice. And then they say, well, what to practice? So if you had bodhicitta in your mind, how would your life be different? If you didn't know about bodhicitta, then all of a sudden someone showed you bodhicitta. What would your practice be like? What would your day be?
You'd be helping people. You'd be doing what you could. You'd be reaping the joy of giving to others in generosity. You would not hold back.
You could, right?
Great.
You could.
Yeah.
Yeah, less selfish.
Much less selfish. It's not about me anymore. It's like just looking up and seeing a sea of humans that are just like you. And then the Tibetans have this beautiful sort of debate. So, you know, if you put you and your selfish needs, 7 billion others, right, which should get what they want first? You or 7 billion? You know? Oh, okay. I didn't like that. Because it meant, yeah. But I'm practicing. And then, what if you made that into a habit? What if you just did it once or twice? Like that you can feel a little proud now. Yeah, you're completely allowed to feel proud. That's a good thing if it's a pride that gets you here. Yeah. So who's had the joy of giving selflessly, even with anonymously, or just helping out another creature, animal or human, and who's just had that charge in your heart that love is just amazing, right? And how does that feel? That's the beginnings of a bodhicitta, yeah? And then imagine if everyone got to feel that all the time. What a wonderful world this would be, yeah? So that's how you should have shifted a little bit if you heard ACI 1 and got up to bodhicitta. And then what about wisdom? So someone told you things don't come from themselves. There's something about your mind projecting onto this emptiness out there. Correct you. Then what would shift in your world if you got that as an understanding intellectual?
You should never any longer be a victim of anything. There's nothing that you can blame for anything. The happiness or sadness, you've taken full responsibility for it.
And it's horrible if you're used to someone being the cause of all your pain. So if someone
there never was anyone.
There never was anyone.
Right.
If you understood it, it's both you get this responsibility and it's freeing. Yeah. It's completely, and there's nobody keeping record on. You did this bad yesterday at 4 o'clock. I've got you until you come back. You did that. There's nobody keeping record outside of you. It is just you, completely and utterly the most magnificent you, keeping every record, recording every action, forcing your experience out of that every action. You are completely and utterly responsible for every instant of bliss that you've had on the planet and every horrible nature, every suffering you see on this planet. And that heavy responsibility with the freedom to understand that things come from you it is a doorway to a complete different experience of being. It really is. And it's rare on this planet. It's rare on this planet to actually face up. And in the text of Buddha's study, you get mention from commentaries of people saying, and even in the Dhammapada Sutra, if people aren't horrified and scared and run away when they understand emptiness, so when they first hear emptiness, the Buddha even says, if people aren't scared shitless, he doesn't say shitless, but if they aren't scared and don't run away, then this will be a complete and utter transformation to freedom. But they keep saying that it could be a very frightening thing to some. It is not for everyone. The understanding of how things truly function, if you're not prepared, if you don't have a strong basis, could scare the living daylights out of people. Because it removes complete, and the foundation that most people have is that somebody else is responsible for my existence here. And you either have, the people that say it's your mum and dad that produced you and you are somehow this physical thing, or it's some external creature that you don't get to see or talk to very often, that is the creator of everything, but then somehow they've got tabs on you. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to any other tradition, because there's room here for divinity and the rest, but in terms of a creator of your world, this says no. That's the big difference between the Buddha and all his other contemporaries. Until you get to the mystic side of all traditions, and then they're the same. Yeah? I would dare say. So I need you to think that ACI 1 is the basis and the foundations for everything we studied later on. And the next thing we talked about, the entire next course, was ACI 2, which was called Buddhist Refuge, right? Everyone goes for refuge all the time. You recognize the world is suffering, you recognize things hurt, and we run for help. The doctor, my parents, my lover, my friend, the bank manager, help me. Someone help me. The police. And then at some point there's no help that comes. If you've ever done a death meditation and you imagine the process of passing, no help will come. There's no money that can give you a little bit more life if that's the moment you've passed. There's no doctor that can help you with the knowledge or the knife or whatever. There's no lover that can hold your hand. You won't feel their hand after a while. But we go for refuge all the time. And the Buddha said there's really three things that give you real refuge, that can truly protect you. The only three things can really protect you. Everything else nominally protects you. Yes, it's comforting to hold someone's hand, but then when you can't feel it, it's gone. Yes, the money can pay you for an extra respirator for another 24 hours, but when the 24 hours, it's gone. Yes, the doctor with his technique, if you pay extra cash, can chop up and take out another piece of your meat, but then when he's chopped up enough meat, you're gone. No police can help you. Ultimately, there's three things that can help you. And so what's the summary of that? The Dharma jewel, the Buddha jewel, the Dharma jewel, and the Sangha jewel. And this was like, what's this weird language? Tell me what that really means, though. Because if Buddhism, these jumbled words organized in a specific way with some meaning are pointing to ultimate truth, then it's not these things that we're talking about. It's not like Dharma jewel, Buddha jewel, Sangha jewel, you know. They are pointing to a thing, to a true ultimate reality that can help you. And you can call it bing bing bong, bong bong bing, bong bong boom. It doesn't matter what names you give it. If this thing can help you, it will help you. So what's the Buddha jewel?
It's the nature. Sorry.
Go ahead, please.
It's the empty nature of the Buddha mind, meaning that also your mind is empty of that nature, so you can turn your mind into an awakened mind.
Yeah, it's conventionally it's Buddha Shakyamuni, and ultimately it's our own awakened Buddha mind, just as you said.
That's great. I love that you're giving me the ultimate and the relative answers here. But it means, look, Buddha was a human being with skin and bone, lived on this planet, and was capable of transforming suffering into an enlightened state, free from suffering. So that is some nominal refuge to say you can do it too. You really can. Like, it's not out of your reach. It's actually possible to be free from suffering. Do we want it really though? If you know it's possible, do you really want it? Yeah? And then if you do want it, and you find out the ultimate way that is possible is that your mind, the way you think your mind is not. There is no nature to mind like you think it is. Your mind is vacant, blank, empty of having that nature that you think is mind. The Buddha is exactly the same. In fact, the Buddha abides in that state. It is the emptiness of the Buddha's mind. It's exactly the same as the emptiness of your mind. That's what it means to have your Buddha nature. Yeah? That's all it means. It means that there is no self-existent mind separate from your projection of mind onto mind. It gets a little heady. But what it means is that you are completely and utterly free to transform the way your mind is experienced by you right now to a mind that is completely and utterly blissful, seeing all things, free from suffering, knowing all things, timeless. It's possible, like it's possible for the humans and the creatures in this room. So that is, if that's true, that is refuge. If that's true, then you're free. I mean, it can free you. That's real refuge. No need for doctors, no need for the rest. Now, what's the Dharma, Jewel?
What you just said. Teaching.
So relatively, yeah, and ultimately,
Well, of course, eventually it would be the teachings of the Buddha, the sutras, and the discourses, and ultimately, Dharma has the other meaning of phenomena, and it's the moment-to-moment presence of this world and our mind that teaches us when we see it. That phenomena is just perfect as it is, and that gives us the opportunity to experience and work on that teaching in each moment.
So relatively, you're saying it's the teachings of the Buddha, spoken, the sutras and the commentaries and the rest. Yeah. And ultimately, can I say it's the fact that emptiness is out of all existing objects. So Dharma means all existing objects, right? Existing thing. But the highest, the ultimate, the most of all objects that every object possesses is the lack of inherent existence in those things. And that they come and go, but upon that coming and going, that the basis of that is the lack of inherent existence. It's the emptiness of that thing. Yeah.
Moment as it is.
Okay. If that's the case, if Dharma, if existing things as they are,
didn't say existing.
How,
I didn't say existing.
what did you mean?
No, I'm just kidding. You said,
If things as they are have no nature from their own side, and you experience them as you do, are a production based on whatever is in your mind producing it, then if you know what to put in your mind to produce a world free of suffering, then that's refuge. So the fact that things don't have a nature frees you from thinking you're stuck here having to go shopping. That's real refuge. Things don't have to be the way that they are. The power is in your mind to produce a reality that is congruent with your wish. Sangha. What's the Sangha? Jewel.
Community practitioners.
So, relatively,
Us.
So relatively traditionally is the community of monks.
nice.
Now it's applied to communities like this one.
Sure.
Ultimately is the group of enlightened beings that surround you. Is that correct?
All realized beings.
So what's realized beings mean?
Who've seen emptiness directly.
So beings that have seen the ultimate nature of things, had a true experience of them, is the ultimate Sangha. Why is that a protection?
Because they can lead you
Look,
on the
I can
path
show you.
to
Yes?
liberation.
Now, are they self-existently that? What are they? Are the community, are the Sangha that exist, the realized beings that have seen the ultimate nature of reality, seen emptiness directly, are they self-existent?
originally, in the early Theravadan scriptures, it's described as a group of 6 arhats. Was it what was described
At
as
the
a
time of
Sangha.
the Buddha.
At the time, yeah, at the time.
Yeah,
of
the
the
time of the Buddha. Yeah. And even now they carry that tradition that 4 or more monks in one place create a Sangha. But can they protect you?
If someone who doesn't care about it won't find any protection from it.
Exactly. Right? So my question is, do you think it's possible that on this planet are walking beings who have had a direct perception of ultimate reality, seen emptiness directly? Does your mind allow you to conceive of that?
Not if you don't have the causes
Yeah.
and conditions to.
But I'm asking, does your mind? I'm asking, do you perceive? And to be honest with you, I never thought about it until I met these teachings. I actually never thought that your mind could evolve to any kind of higher level of understanding of the world. I just thought the world was what it was. And then I met somebody, and I was very fortunate to feel, to believe, and I still do to this day. Not only that, they showed me how to see others that way, which was bizarre. I truly and honestly believe that there are creatures walking this planet who have had this realization of the ultimate nature of things and that they can teach. Now, are they self-existently out there? If I showed my mum, which I tried, I said, look mum, here's your Michael, it's the realized being, he's just a dude with a skirt, you know, for her. So think about that. Think about that. I'm going to ask if we have a little break and we come back at 9:05. We'll do a quick review of ACI 3, 4, 5. And then I guess I'll teach you what Dorje and Chupa mean. There's more to that tonight. So let's have a quick break and we'll be back at 9:05. Yeah? Thank you for coming.
Stop.